Welcome everyone to Expanding Your Consciousness. Today is December 13th, 2022. And what we are discussing tonight is who am I, or what are we? And so what I'd like to do is just put it out to the group to begin with, and then I have some a particular video that I'd like to show the group, and then we can discuss more afterwards. So when you hear that, who am I? What comes to mind? Does someone want to start with this? Dave, Kainandra?
Sure. I can. I think whenever I think, who am I always think I am the mind. And obviously I'm the body too. But really, the I in the who, I is it's one of those things where we have to identify I. I is the mind, or your soul, or your spirit, whatever. There's so many people have different ways of looking at it, but for me, who am I? I am the mind. I'm also the body, but the mind is beyond the body, right? The body is a vessel for my mind. So that's how I look at it.
I'd like to ask, does your mind know what is right and what is wrong? Is there a right and wrong in our mind, or your mind?
Your mind does not know right and wrong. What well, maybe not, maybe it does know what I'm saying is that your conscious mind knows what is right and what is wrong. Now, what could be right for you could be wrong for somebody. What could be wrong for somebody could be right for you too, right? So there's all this scenarios that you have to play with. It mind is it's a complex place, complex machine.
And can our minds, though, be manipulated with with society?
Sure. Yes, it can be.
Okay. Hi, Brent.
Hi there.
Hi,
Brent.
We've just started. So, Brent, this whole idea of who am I, or what are we, was your idea. So, Gyanendra has joined us tonight, and he's just he thinks a lot of it has to do with mind. Gyanendra, did you want to repeat what you were talking about?
Yeah, the topic is who am I? So the I in the sentence is we identify ourselves with name, body, identification, identifying things which we think it through our mind and also from our sight. So, but really, the person you really are, the I, is the mind, right? That's how I look at it. And everything
is the mind outside of our body?
No, like, the mind is within our soul, within our body, and from there, it's like a computer. It processes thousands of thoughts and thousands of things per second. Like if you think you're in a country on a vacation, you think about it, you can just see that. You can see the sand, the fish, the people, the eating, the ice cream, the culture. You can even sometimes sort of feel like the smell of it. So that is how powerful the mind is, right? And that is who you are. You can the I in your body is the mind, right? I am, we identify our body because we gave that name we gave a name to the body for identification purpose. And you have probably seen it in when police, they find a body, they don't know who, they have no idea whose body it is, right? Until they do some dental work or all that with DNA, then they find, oh, okay, this is, then they identify what the name of this person, but the name is only for the physical body, but not for the I in you. The I is really just a spirit. It's an energy.
So what you're saying is when that body dies, the I continues.
Of course, the body is only a vessel. It's the spirit or the mind, and the I is, it never dies. And it's also, the reason why I'm saying it, because it has been explained in my culture. I come from an Indian background, right? So in our Indian background, that is how we identify I. And in many other texts and everything, they will say the mind or the Atma or the supreme being or whatever. So, and there's the higher level of consciousness too. And I'm not an expert, and like a lot of yogis and things like that. That is why they could sit for hundreds of years and meditate. And the body would go through its process. They would become very thin. They could survive on a like a couple drips of water. So these things have been expounded and have been done for thousands of years.
That doesn't mean that any of what you just said is absolutely a fact or absolutely true. I mean, everybody,
right.
I mean, everybody is inundated with stories when they're children about who they are and what's real and who God is, and all that kind of stuff. And I think one of the reasons that we get pushed into that, and our parents and the society culture wants us to believe that, is because they don't really know the truth. I mean, if they really
you
knew
are
the
right
truth,
too. I do believe that too. I do see that way too.
yeah. So I think it's going to be good if we can identify the stories from reality, and if we can get to who we are in the process, that'll be really great. I have a feeling though that this I feeling that we have, like right now, like just put your attention on like who you think you are, like your I feeling, and most of the time we're not experiencing this. We're going through life. We're conscious, but we're going through life and we're having these experiences. And then once in a while we get an uppance in our consciousness, and we feel this strong sense of presence, or this strong sense of being, so our attention goes to that, and it's a special kind of a feeling. And what I suspect it really is this consciousness that we have that's present, from the day we're born to the day we die, that we don't pay that much attention to most of the time. Like in a given day, I'm not necessarily going, oh, I know who I am. I may not even think of it. But I think what happens is, in human beings, you have an awareness, you have consciousness, but we know about consciousness, we know about awareness, because it comes into its own sense of being, because consciousness cognizes itself. It recognizes that it's a feeling that, in other words, consciousness knows it exists. If our consciousness wasn't aware of itself, we wouldn't be talking about this stuff. We would just be lost in it. But we can talk about it, and it's different than animals. Like lower forms of life are definitely conscious, but I don't think a bug's flying around going, oh wow, man, I'm a bug and I dig flying around. I don't think that's happening. Consciousness has to reach a certain level of depth or density or evolutionary position before it knows of its own existence. It has to get complicated enough. So with human beings, it's complex enough. So every once in a while, our attention goes to our own consciousness. So that means consciousness is in that moment is aware of itself. And I think that's what the real feeling of I am is. When we have that really strong feeling, it's our consciousness cognizing itself as something. That's my guess. That's my story about what I think I see about that.
But you think, okay, so that's a story. That's your story, right? But everybody has their story, right? And I do think sometimes we can put too much into criticizing other people's belief systems, when actually maybe their experience as a state of consciousness is different from another person's state of consciousness. So I think it's very possible for a guru to meditate for years and not have to consume food. Right? I think, these things are possible, right? If you only believe in the science of mankind, then you're limited by the science of mankind.
Yeah, but as a culture, that's really all we have. We got a bunch of people who are scientists, and they do all the work, and they tell us there's a quantum level and there's all this stuff going on. And so you if you don't believe that,
But
then
science is someone's interpretation of something.
yes, but it's
Like
not.
you think that we're in a modern world, that a modern world is better than previous civilizations, but there has been evidence of advanced civilizations far more advanced than where we are now today.
Well, a scientist would disagree with that because they don't see any evidence. Now,
There
maybe
is plenty of evidence.
maybe you're right. Well, what is evidence that there's an advanced civilization we're beyond us? What is the evidence there?
There's evidence of pyramids. There's evidence of, temples. There's evidence of technology and records. You have the words of Plato talking about Atlantis. I mean, these are advanced civilizations.
Well, in the minds of the people who wrote that stuff. Yeah, but we don't have any absolute evidence.
Okay.
That
But in the minds, your mind, I'm going to say, in your mind, you think we are advanced, but are we really advanced?
compared to the animals on this planet, I would say human beings are advanced. Yeah. It's a comparison. There's no absolute in this. It's all relative. So
Okay.
yeah, we're smarter than the animals, relatively speaking. But
Are we really?
That's what I
we?
wonder too. Yeah.
well, it
We
depends
are
on what you're talking
smarter
about. I mean,
the only reason I think we are smarter than the animals is because of our intellect, which is the most highest form that the humans have got, right? And as far as the animals are very intellect. They can feel if there's an earthquake coming or something is going to happen. We cannot, animals, like animals that are in the sea, that they can have a sonar. And now the scientists are all studying all these animals to obviously, if you think of how advanced, it depends on how you define, are we really advanced? Yes,
that's right.
we are advanced. We have reached the moon. We have put things on other planets. But can we go and live there? Maybe, yes, maybe in, I don't know, maybe 100,000 years when we can live on a tank of oxygen for a whole day and then things like that. But we don't know I don't know if there's any other life form. But I do believe there's other life form and in what form there are they just in like like not in a body, but it's like how we are formed through an egg, and from there we become this thing, and we just didn't become this body. We have to consume food. We couldn't eat soil. We couldn't eat things like that because we had to eat food, whatever through our knowledge we gained through time, from the cave time to today. I think humans have a lot to learn, lots from the animal world and from nature. We have to learn so much. And yeah, if you say we are advanced in the sense that, yeah, we can fly to another country. Yes, before it wasn't like that. If people had to move to a country, if they're going through horse or whatever means they had, it would take them months, right? But obviously today we sit in a plane and we're there in so many hours. So if you want to compare that, yes, we are advanced in that way. But in general, we have a lot to catch up to the other kingdom, the nature, the animal kingdom, the kingdom that exists inside the soil and in the ocean, in the depth of the ocean. And science is proving that too, right?
Yes. Dave, did you want to comment?
Well, I always like Brent's comment of our consciousness is the awareness of itself. That's our sense of our I. If we're going deeper, or if we go deep, we're I you know, I agree with that. That's definitely the good way, or you know, this, because you reflect on your body, and you know this is transitory. It's not going to be here for that much, for very long, relatively speaking. But what is that? What is it about that? What is our self, our sense of self? And that is our consciousness being aware of itself. I think that is the key thing to concentrate on.
Okay.
And I mean, as far as, you know, I mean, yeah, we may be more advanced than the animals. It's hard to say because we're making up the standard. You know, we're sort of setting it up. We don't really know how animals feel about themselves. You know, but we observe nature and we see how it seems to be, you know, in harmony with itself. And some, you know, we don't see a lot of animals driving other animals to extinction. There is a balance that seems to occur in nature, and we seem to knock that out of whack as an advanced entity on this planet. So I'm not so sure if we, you know, we still have some learning to do as far as living on this planet goes. You know, it doesn't seem like we've struck a good balance with the reality of what this ecosystem is. The whole planet is one ecosystem. But anyway, I think I'm kind of rambling. But the mind, it's still, I'm always trying to get a grasp on that. Our consciousness, our mind, or the consciousness and mind, the same thing. And it can exist outside the body because we think, some of us think that once we die, this is going to continue. Our mind or our consciousness may continue. So that can exist outside of the body while we're experiencing this body. But I haven't had too many experiences where I actually feel my consciousness outside of the body. I mean, it has happened, but it's not a normal state and one that I can really define. I know it's happened, but it's, I certainly always feel like I'm inside my body, and my feelings are my sense of self, or my sense of I, a little more and more, I think. So that's all I got to say right now.
Okay, Kelly?
Maybe we put her to sleep.
Yep.
Very late.
I was starting to drift.
Hi. Hi.
Okay,
Oh, there
Kelly,
you are.
you
Oh,
want
she's
to comment on this?
Yeah. I think the reason that animals are more advanced is because they don't let other animals manipulate them.
So you
They-
think
they
that animals are more advanced than us?
Well, I don't think that they're more advanced than us. No, I shouldn't have said that. Sorry. I think though that they're so instinctual that they just react, and they don't think about it. They just do it, you know? So whereas people are like, well, I gotta think and I need to look at every side. I need to, and that's kind of a waste of time because, in some ways. So I think we do have things to learn from from animals. Do I think that they're smarter than us? Depends on the day, honestly, but yeah, for the most part, no. I think that they have intelligence for sure. I think that they have feelings, they have emotions, they're living beings, right? And they can think. It's not that they can't. It's just that it's just more of on an instinctual level.
Okay, so Kelly, what about Gyanendra's comment about mind, right? Consciousness and mind, and Brent's comment about consciousness as well. Like anything there that you'd like to share?
Well, not at this point. No. Trying to, I'm drawing a blank at the moment. I would say that I think, about the advanced, about the fact that we're apparently so advanced. I don't think we are. I think if anything, I do think in a lot of aspects there were technologies that were more advanced even than today's technologies. I mean, look at what Tesla was creating and people like that. So are we more advanced? No, I don't think so.
Okay. And I guess it's, how you define what advanced is, right?
Precisely.
If you think,
That's right.
if you think of a lot of this technology, there are a lot of people are spending so much time on their phones and other devices that they're not even communicating with people directly.
Mhm.
And recently, actually, just a week ago, like a Wednesday, actually starting Wednesday, I really, in fact, for a while, I've really wanted to experience community. And I belong to different groups in that, but I wanted a community that I could interact with more often than the group that I meet with every 2 weeks. And also, expanding your consciousness, this is fine, but we're still on a device, right? And I do a lot of video work and that. And I thought, like that can be a lonely place to be. Like even all these people working from home and they're on their computers all the time, that can be lonely after a while. And so what I did is, and it actually started with my neighbor wanting me to do a painting for his church. And so I did that. And then I thought, I really liked it. I went over to his church and it was very active and all this. And I thought, but I really wanted I want to explore the Catholic religion. So I go to a Catholic church not far from me. And it's a wonderful community. It gives me something to go to every morning. And, I all of a sudden ended up in the choir and that sort of thing. And I do think sometimes when we talk about consciousness, we become so absorbed with ourselves that we forget that an important part of our spiritual growth is interacting with other people. And I have really noticed a big difference in how I feel when I get up in the morning. I have a certain goal. I go, to church, I meet these people, that sort of thing. And right now, this is something that I enjoy doing. So I think, consciousness is more than reflecting inside. It's also getting out there and having these exchanges with other people. So.
I find meetup groups to be my church, essentially, because I go to so many of them, and there's really nice intimacy that I experience sometimes in groups where everybody just shuts up for a while sometimes, and everyone's just there present. You can feel a really deep sense of oneness. I mean, right now,
that may work for you, Brent, but I think also, technology has isolated a lot of people. Right. So, just so you know, like the suicide rates have been higher and all this sort of stuff because people don't have a sense of community. So, and, we can talk to people all over the world on the internet and that, but there is something to be said for having a community right around you too, that support system.
Well, I always say, like if I'm talking with people online, like, I don't say they're my friends because I've never met them. So how are they my friends? They're not my friends. And that's interesting because a lot of people, even from my generation, I mean, we didn't have internet growing up. We didn't have internet. But you talk to people in their 40s and 50s and stuff, and they're like, oh yeah, my friend online. And I'm like, how are they your friend? Have you met them face to face? Do you know them? Oh, no, but they're my friend. And I'm like, but no, they're not.
Yeah.
They're not your friend. They're
Well,
an
I disagree.
acquaintance.
I think absolutely, you can meet people face to face or just listen to them, and you are interacting, you're having an energy exchange, and they're affecting you, you're affecting them. They can be your friends. Friends are all kinds of different manifestations. They're in every, walk of life or any kind of relationship. And so,
I
yeah,
agree.
you could totally have online friends. I don't see why not. Surely, I mean, there's some people need to be, more physically present and near people to
Right.
get that feeling. But it's interesting, this thing that happened to me today, and it follows along the lines of we are all one, but I'm not so sure if we're all one, but we're definitely all connected. Or I
Right.
feel that we can be connected.
Right. I
And
agree. Yeah.
so, and that can happen through your computer or through your mind, or however you want to describe it. Because I started having dreams of an old friend of mine in the last week. And I know this guy he'd been through some really tough times of his own doing.
Mm.
And it's interesting that this guy just popped into my dreams. Hasn't happened before. And in the dream, he was good and healthy. And anyway, a mutual friend phoned me tonight, and he said he'd gone to a meeting connected with AA, and it had to do with detox workshop. And this old friend of mine, who I knew was having this kind of problems, right? The guy in my dreams, that's the last time I'd seen him. He was having some real addiction problems. Anyway, this mutual friend, he said, yeah, guess who I saw today? And I said, this guy, right? I said, did you see this guy? And he goes, yeah, how'd you know? I said, well, I've been having dreams about him. And, and I knew that's a possibility, your paths could cross. And he said, yeah. He's in really rough shape, but he's in detox. And this mutual friend is helping out as not a counselor, but just as, he's learning the ropes kind of deal. So I found that very interesting, and it made me think, oh yeah, this connection we have with each other through dreams, through sometimes you're just thinking of somebody and you're going, oh, well, kind of learn to trust that and say, well, if I'm thinking of that person, maybe I should phone them and see what's going on. And usually there is, or I'll phone somebody I haven't talked to in a long time. They'll say, I was just thinking of you. What's going on? That sort of thing. Could be nothing.
Well, that's interesting, because I know I've met some people recently online, and they're nice people. And I guess it's just me. I've got to get kind of my mind around meeting people more online. It's not really a thing that I do regularly, right? So yeah, I think you're right. I think, like I have had a few people who I've met online, and they have been friends, like, friends. But, I'm just a little hesitant to say friends, because I feel that a lot of people have kind of these isolating chat rooms and stuff where like they'll meet people and they'll start, they'll be like, oh yeah, my new best friend. And it's like, well, you don't really know them face to face. But I guess that's just something that I need to get over. You don't need to meet people face to face all the time to
Well,
be
there's
their friend.
different levels in friendship too.
Right, right.
I mean, there are
Right.
people that you've known for years and you may share certain things with them that you may not share with other.
Well, that's true as well. Like I have some friends and, they're work friends and that's
That's
it.
right.
That's as far as that goes.
That's right.
And I have other friends who, are I can say I can tell them anything, So yeah, Dave,
And-
you've changed my mind about that online
I
stuff.
think also how you define as what kind of friends, just like you say, I have friends at work. So, they are friends and you see them all the time and you talk, you sort of bond with them in a certain way and you can tell certain things and you cannot tell everything because because so depends on the kind of friendship. So the friends we meet on internet are like internet friends, right? You don't really go out with them unless the guy says, oh, hey, you want to meet me here and go have a beer? Then you become sort of more in a personal type of friend. So you get to know them, right? And I understand what you're saying about they're not really your friend. They're just your internet friends. So they are friendly. They talk to you nice. They treat you well.
Yeah.
And that's what friends supposed to be, right? Obviously,
Yeah.
we all have all different levels of friends, and some people have very toxic friends, and you don't want even to be with them,
That's right.
So
Well,
that
I had a friend in Malaysia years ago, and he was a good friend. Like like we
Yeah,
would
very
talk
helpful.
a lot. Yeah, very helpful.
Very helpful. Yeah. Yeah. And
And
I'm not denying, I guess
yeah,
what I'm
and
saying
he
is though, I'm just throwing this out to the group.
okay.
When
And
we
then
talk about who we are and that, are we not part of a local community?
yeah,
And do we improve that community by interacting more and more with people within our local community?
well, I think so. Yeah. But what I was gonna say is that his motto about friendship was, yeah, he's a friend, an internet friend, but he doesn't, he never claims to know you.
Yes.
He doesn't, he even said that he would never date a girl online
Yes.
because that's not a real relationship.
Yeah.
And
And yet
and-
that seems to be what people are doing now, right? And in fact, that's something that Dave's niece talked about, right? So, but I want to go back to this whole thing, who are, who am I?
sorry.
Right. So,
Yeah.
Oh, Brent,
Brent?
you're,
One thing I want to throw out here that I think is going to be really helpful is the fact that whenever we talk about like say ourselves, okay, we're limited. Like right now, let's say I'm pointing my attention inwardly and I'm asking myself, like, okay, who am I? What exactly am I? If I want to try and find out what that is, it's like, okay, I'll pause and I'll put my attention on my idea of what I am. And I'm limited in what then shows up into my mind, into my consciousness. And if nothing particular shows up that's that interesting, my attention might go someplace else. But if something happens when I point my attention inwardly and I can feel something happening that to me is, an aspect of myself, then that's where my attention is going to be. So, it's like you when you want to know something like, who am I? Your attention goes to this idea you have of it. And then whatever happens after that is not anything has to do with you at all. It's like what manifests as that in you, in your mind, in your consciousness, whatever comes up in the moment. And if it's really an in-depth kind of energy, you might settle right into it. It might get more expansive. You might go, oh wow, I didn't even know this was part of me. You can go off and all that. But I mean, we're limited into what arises in that. In fact, you can't even ask the question like, who am I, unless you're interested in asking it. So you've got to have the desire to do that, or that's not going to happen. And whatever shows up is going to be like an image. Like I can image myself right now. I can see my body in my mind. I can see me walking down the street. I mean, I can see Brent, right? But that's not me. Me is always behind, looking at whatever shows up. There's this third eye of consciousness back here someplace that's looking at whatever shows up. And right now what shows up are the images that I'm talking about. So we're not really controlling what those are. We're just seeing what they are. And they're always going to be part of the fabric of what arises within our mind. So our minds are limiting in the sense that we can't get outside of our mind to find out any more about ourselves and what our mind presents us with. And we're limited to visual and auditory. We're severely limited when we put our attention on anything. And so the idea that we're ever going to know ourselves in our totality, 100%, I think is not true. I think we're
I don't think anyone's ever claimed that. Nobody's ever claimed that they'll ever know.
There are people that talk.
All the answers to everything.
Well, there are people that talk and they think they know exactly who they are, and I mean, there are people like that. I've run into them, but when I put myself on myself, I realize that whatever's there that I see, well, that's okay. That's now for today. Maybe tomorrow I'll see something else. But I don't think I'm ever going to have any kind of a substantial thing to talk about that I can point to and say, yeah, that's me. I think what we get into here is we get into the ego, which is all the identities that we have, and we've all got different identities about what we think we are. Some people, it's a very way out there thing that most people can't identify with, and some people it's, well, I'm my body, and I'm my personality, and so it depends on the level of the consciousness of the person who's looking also. So but we've got something the same about us. Like I know that for sure. Like I know that underneath the ego is like this space of oneness and love and consciousness, and we all share this. So I think who we are is a better question than who am I, because I think this oneness is pervasive.
Are we too absorbed on ourselves and looking inward when maybe our focus should be more on helping others? I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah.
Like, can we learn more about ourselves by our activities, what we do to contribute to our community and helping others?
Well, I think,
And that help define us more.
yeah, it would definitely. Your actions and your motivation for those actions are defining who you are. Where did that come from? Was it through contemplation, just meditating on who you are? Why did you want to move in that direction? The idea of going within and experiencing our connection with each other, our oneness, I think that's an important aspect of our our spiritual quest. Question mark. The other thing is you're not no man is an island, no person is an island. We're all, I guess that we all can be connected. We are all connected. So how do you interact with that oneness? If you actually feel like you're at one with that poor bugger, lying on the street, and you're gonna want to do something about that. If you want to help in anything, in any activity, anything that is helpful, I think that's worthwhile. But
But have we become so self-absorbed? And I look at how much society, I'm almost 65, and I look at how much society has changed within my lifetime. And, you see more drug addiction, you see more alcoholism, and I'm sure some people say, well, you don't focus on that. Well, the fact is that is a reality, right? There's more homeless people out there. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of issues that I would say when it comes to homeless, addiction, so many things, right? It's our human innate energy that we need to really, like, if you know, when there's a lot of good people in the world, I would say there's lots of good
Sure.
people.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
definitely.
there's a lot of good people who want to help in whatever the way it doesn't mean they have to give everything, even give them a blanket, that's all, you know.
That's right.
um
Yeah.
and when it comes to, like, when you're talking about addiction, a lot of that has been driven by politics and greed. When you really think about, I mean, America, Canada, like, we're a very prosperous country, and we can control this thing, but it's all driven to economy and all the people to do, because I'll tell you one thing, everything that is driving that is money.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody's, you know, it's
The
like,
lust for money.
yeah, the lust for money. I want this, I want that, you know. And then you see the advertising, and how many shoes are you going to wear? You got like 10 shoes, right? Is another one brand come? It's actually also, it's the way we've been bombarded through media, news, and then there's groups of people who do that, you know, to push that too.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
what we have to do is to separate from that and
Mhm.
say, no, I'm not gonna be part of that.
Yes.
I'll be myself. I'll be what I think makes me happy, content, in your work, in your relationship, in your love with your children, with family, with your society, with your church, with everything. So it's
Yes.
a whole range of things, right? So a
But
lot of the
Ninja, can I go
yes.
back to that about family and that? What if part of the social engineering of society, and that's what advertising, that's what television, radio, all this is about, fashion industry, everything. What if part of that was to break down the family? Right?
Intentionally,
Well,
Intentionally,
in many ways it does.
Why would anyone want to do that?
Because then they can just manipulate you even more.
Yeah,
If you don't-
because then
if-
you have
yeah.
a breakdown of society.
Yeah, but that's less people spending money. You want people to be happy and have money to spend. If you're coming from that, if I was coming from that direction,
People are spending money because
They're
of a
spending more.
breakdown of family. Where do people spend their time? In shopping malls and that?
Well, you know, the breakdown of the family, like my family, I mean, I loved both my parents,
Yeah.
but they probably should have never gotten married, because my dad was totally different than my mother, and he had affairs once in a while on the side, and you know, she didn't like that, and so you know, I've always thought that probably they should have not got married. But they did. And you know, it's like sometimes getting away from your family and the way they are is something you got to do. And that's one reason why I wasn't liked a lot by my sister, because I wouldn't do what she would do, because I was off in my own thing when I was in college. Now, I was a self-centered jerk for sure, but I had to get away from that environment because they wanted me to be a certain way. They wanted me to be like them. They wanted me to do certain things that I didn't want to do. You know, so I was driven out of that. We have a problem in society because, you know, we're in the caves. We have not changed much since living in caves. We have technology, but that's all that's different. Like you can walk down the block and notice all the houses on the block and not know who's living there. They're right next to you. And other cultures like Mexico and places like that, those people party together in the middle of the block. They've got a whole different kind of civilization than we have here. And money is God in this country.
But Brent, that goes back to what I said. Know your local community. Get involved in something in your local community, not just online.
And that's one way to do it. And if people are attracted to doing that, then that's what they'll do. I can't do that. I'm not going to do that because I'm paranoid of getting COVID. I'm not going to go outside and work around a bunch of people with that mask on. I'm not going to do that. So I do it online, and I have found a nice group of people. There's a wonderful lady that I'm friends with in India. We've had about 15 Zooms together. We get together and talk. She's invited me to her wedding. That's going to be the 26th of this month in India.
Yeah.
well, I'm not going to go to that. It's too far, and but anyway, we have this really nice thing. I have met people all over the place, including you and Dave, that I never would have met unless I was online. So you can be fulfilled online if that's the way you want to live. Not everybody can do that. I can't touch anyone, I can't hug anyone, and I miss that, and I'd really like to have that. So maybe, but all I'm saying is that different strokes for different folks. Whatever that you're attracted to, that's where you go.
Yeah, and also I think if you're, I mean, I can understand about COVID and all that, and also I think if you do have that phobia, obviously we need to protect ourselves. And I don't know, like for me, I work in the healthcare system, and we had to take all these shots and everything. That's fine. And I did catch COVID even after I got all the shots. So I don't know if we have been told the truth right from the top. We don't know. We just sort of following what the government says. And then, we go through all this controversy about people who want it, who don't want it, there's against, and then people have lost jobs, doctors have quit, the nurses have quit.
And doctors have died.
Yeah.
Over 80 in Canada have died. Yeah. From it.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I just have something to say, because I know, like about family, right? The breakdown of family. Yeah, it's definitely like family is important. The family unit is extremely important. And okay, I think your name is Gayanandra?
Yes, thank you. You can pronounce it so well.
Thank you.
Good job.
Because you know what?
So
I put it on here, and I want
yeah,
people to be, because I usually go by Rick. everybody knows me. Nobody knows his name. Right?
No, I can, yeah. So I know quite a few Indian people, and I've known quite a few throughout my life, and I've known a lot of Arabic people and other people from other countries, and they are successful. Like, okay, so a lot of people say, well, the immigrants coming here, they're taking all of our jobs and stuff like that, and yeah, I don't know, but anyway, that's beside the point. What I'm trying to say is the reason that these people are more willing to work, and I don't know if it's more willing, but able to work and successful, is because they have good family units. Maybe not everybody is happy in the family. That's, I mean, nobody.
They have a strong family unit.
Fully. Yeah.
An
They have a
extended family.
strong,
Yeah.
yes. And so even like, in Mexico, where people party on the block or whatever, they have a very strong sense of family.
Mm-hmm.
So, to say that family, whatever, no, it does. It definitely does. It for sure. There are so many broken people, and the reason that they're broken is because they didn't have good families. They had broken families. Mom was off somewhere, dad was off another place, and they, you need parents to guide you, and you're not always going to listen to your parents. I'm not saying that.
Nowadays, I think parenting is even getting harder and harder, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, it's getting harder because the family unit is broken.
Yeah, and the newer gen.
They've pushed the family.
Okay, Kelly.
To be unimportant. Sorry.
You're saying?
They've pushed the family to be unimportant.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, it becomes that way because in social media, it grabs your mind, and the kids are really young. And so they get trapped up in this, and they get these weird egos, and they think they've got to get all these likes and all this stuff. And kids have committed suicide over these phones and everything. So yeah, we got that problem. But the main one is that we're a society that worships money. And down in Mexico, they don't have that much money. And so they got each other. And so they haven't been polluted with money. But if we go down there and pollute them, they'll probably head in the same direction.
That's right.
It's like, you get taught what money is, and that it's so important that you don't even want to spend it unless it's on something that you really, really care about. And you don't have enough money. You never have enough money to buy all the things you want to buy. And you believe that that's going to make you happy. You believe that buying that new car is going to make the day. Just like ex-roommate of mine bought a brand new car, thought it was going to make her happy. It did for 2 weeks or 2 months or whatever it was. And then it was just a hunk of metal that got her body from point A to point B, which is all a car has ever been to me.
That's right.
So it's like our whole way we look at life gets completely skewed by all the nonsense that we get from day one when we're kids, from our families, from the society culture, and we're living in terrible times right now, and we're going to destroy this planet if we don't wake up. And we have to wake up individually. We have to get in touch with whatever the source of truth is within us, and we have to live that. And that's why Jesus and Buddha and these people that did it are so renowned and so loved, because everybody recognized that they were coming from this spot deep inside themselves. And if you can't find that, then you're out in this external world. And look what it's happened. What's happening to us for it.
I think, though, other cultures worship money as well. I mean, if they didn't, you wouldn't have cartels. You wouldn't have, you wouldn't have anything like that if they didn't worship money as well.
I'm not saying they don't, but I'm just saying we got it pretty bad in this country, in the United States.
And here too, in Canada, it's
Yeah.
North America is pretty almost,
Well, we are no less capitalist country, right? That is what we have been projected with from the moment you get up to the moment you sleep. You listen to the news, they're talking about, oh, the shares have gone up, or the dollar has fallen. Everything is like projected. There's nothing about, hey, look, this is a nice family thing happening in our society. We all we are bombarded is bad news and competition about money, right? And so that is what it ingrains it in our conscious mind. So now we're going back to conscious now. So basically, conscious mind is absorbing so many thoughts, right? And then you have to figure that out. Hey, no, this is bad. Out, in, out. You have to keep doing this. It's hard when you, like myself, I'm like almost 65. So, we all make mistakes. And it's all part of learning process. But the point is, you have to come to a point where I have a place to live. I have food to eat. I can pay my bills. And if I cannot, then I can take another job. But how many people think like that? A lot of young people don't even want to work. The whole responsibility of themselves haven't been taught right from, like, what do our school teachers here in Canada and US? You got to wear nice like jeans, and you come in a car, and it's the whole process of bringing up the young people into good citizen and society is being broken down right there.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And when I'm from Fiji Island, and it is a British colony, or was a British colony. Now it's independent. But the point is, when we went to school, we had uniform. It doesn't matter you came from a poor family, rich family, middle class, and nobody knew who was who.
Yeah.
Right. You had the uniform. It has a badge. It says Assemblies of God. That's the school I went to. And so if you misbehave in the bus or somebody, you are recognized. Police or the school can reprimand you. Over here, we're all in civilian clothes, and you go to school, you get up, you don't brush your teeth, you just go and take a book and you sit down. Either you listen to the teacher, don't listen to what, there's no.
Yeah, exactly. It's too loose. It's not
no
just
accountability from our politicians.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This, I don't know. I may be wrong. I don't know.
Well, okay, Brent.
Part of the problem here is that if you back up and look at this planet as a whole, it's obvious that the evolutionary point that we're in right now is extremely low. there isn't a lot of consciousness, higher consciousness around. There's been a few people on this planet from time to time that have been pretty unconscious, but not very many. And so we don't have people that have lived 500 years here who are the guiding lights of consciousness. They just don't exist. And so we're in a place where we've evolved to this point, and now it's time for people who see the truth about what's important to start living that truth as much as they possibly can, so that we'll all be beacons for it, so people will recognize it when they see it, like they did with Jesus and Buddha. That's the only way it's going to change.
But
People
if you're just online,
I
how
think
do
that
you
is
model that?
happening. I think more and more we are meeting more and more people all the time who
Yeah.
are, you don't hear that news. And I think that's what we should be hearing on the TV is, oh, there's a group that gets together and tries to, you know, expand their consciousness. And I mean, Brent, you talk to people all around the world in different groups. What's your take on it? Do you find there's more people trying to explore their consciousness and going within? Are they trying to lead better lives?
Well, the only people that I encounter are people that I meet in the groups, and the people I meet in the groups are generally in spiritual groups, because I don't usually go to anything else, a philosophy group once in a while, but basically they're people interested in spirituality and consciousness and all that. And so that's the kind of people I meet, and they're all very wanting more. And most of the groups I go to, even then the level of consciousness is pretty low. They haven't done a lot of self-exploration or used any particular techniques to go in, and some of them meditate, but that doesn't really do a whole lot for you.
But so more and more, that's what I'm finding, you know, my limited engagement with humans, you humans.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
But
you.
I'm finding it,
We feel honored to have you.
Well,
today.
you know how I feel about this planet.
Yeah.
I'm not from here. Keep me up.
Hey,
Who is?
Yeah, well, yeah, ultimately, who really is.
my
So,
boyfriend
but
also
my
said
point I'm
alien.
trying to make is that more and more people I encounter all the time they're exploring a more spiritual life. They're rejecting the mainstream rhetoric, and they're finding, that I chased this dream, took me 10 years to afford this car, and I got it 2 weeks later. I could care less about it. So now what? Let's move, and so that, maybe we're coming to a limit. Maybe we don't have a Buddha or Jesus or Muhammad or Krishna. Maybe we don't have one because we're starting to do it collectively. Maybe we're all, maybe hopefully that's what's rising in humanity, is that we're that maybe that's how it's going to happen a little more. We all we all start collectively going deeper and trying to live that, that what conclusions we come up with our reflection, our deep meditation. I think that's key.
But don't we have to take some sort of action? I mean, just sitting on a computer
I agree.
for
But
weeks
I
or
think-
months
I
is
think
not
sitting-
taking action.
But I think sitting's important. but action. You're interacting.
Yeah, you engage with the community. I engage with the community.
I've got and it might, it looks like a lot of time we're having fun, but there's also a lot of helping and support and and caring. If you're in trouble, you're gonna go out and help, right? Whatever. I mean, I have 2 or 3 friends who we like to get together and maybe have a couple of beers, but that's created a friend, a good group of friends. But more, it's about really helping each other. That's a bigger part of what
It is.
our activity together is
Yeah.
it's actually helping each other.
Yeah.
So that started off as a social you know, group, but more and more it's about, well, okay, what's going on, you know?
Yeah, so and so's father, has problems. So, Dave, you're helping
Right, yeah, I'm helping.
with that, and yeah.
Yeah, so if somebody else had, you know, had to move junk out of their place or whatever, you know, simple things like that, but
Yeah.
willing to engage. And then I've got another friend who's had, you know, spiritual crisis, so you kind of step in and help with that, you know, or physical, or it's
Could
just,
I also think there's a lot of division happening all over the world, and it starts from political parties,
That's right.
and then they're inputting actually wrong ideas, wrong beliefs, and they use the social media and all this new technology that's coming, and you've seen that in the election leading to last in the US, and like, who would think that a person like Trump could engage and make people think that way, and then they would go in and run the White House. I mean, the whatever, the White House, was it White House, I think?
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not saying these people are bad people. It's just because they haven't consciously thought about what is right for the country, and some political person has taken like a power stand and driven this in their mind, right? So their whole conscience is now controlled by this person. So we collectively have to become a united front for peace, for love, for food, for helping, and we collectively have to defend the world against, like, Putin, whatever he's doing, or against any oppressor in the world. So that is what I find is happening in the world, because a lot of leaders and this is where I think our biggest consciousness has to change. It's from a political standpoint. I mean, in Canada and US, we have so much resources and everything, yet you go to a hospital and you have to be an emergency and you wait, and there's only like one doctor in the whole hospital, and I'm going, what the hell, right? And there's like hundreds of medical students come out, and over the years, what happened to all these people?
Yeah.
Right? It's tragic. People have died,
That's right. Yeah.
and so we collectively have to, and the conscious has to come from a conscious party. So now I'm thinking we should start a conscious party to go into the parliament.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the international bankers and that, right, that run everything have always manipulated the masses, right? Because they can own the governments, own the media, own all this, and they always use divide and conquer. And they've been
that
doing
has
that
been
for a
always,
long time.
yes.
Yeah.
And unless we as people become more aware of from our consciousness, that I will not do this, or I know what this person is doing, right?
Yeah.
The problem with the money people is, unfortunately, they get all this money and it doesn't make them happy. You can become a billionaire,
Because
but
they have a bigger goal, and their bigger goal is to take over this planet. That's their biggest goal.
they already run it. They
Yeah.
don't
Well,
need to
that's
take
true.
it over.
That's
They
true.
already run it. They
want to go and take
I
another
agree.
planet.
I agree.
But see, they're all, I mean, some of these banking families probably have close to $1 trillion in the bank.
That's
I mean,
right, they do.
who knows? But the thing is, it's not making them happy. Now they need more money or more control, and they're going in the wrong direction. It's like the higher you get on the pyramid of power, is the lowest kind of consciousness is up there.
Yes.
Because that person has to be in a powerful position just to be happy. So they don't have anything like we understand about our deeper nature. They don't have that, except maybe in their
They're
families.
psychopaths. A lot of people believe they're psychopaths.
Maybe they are.
Yeah.
But the problem is that's not going to change until we change, until we stop following along the way they want us to follow along. And that means you stop just going out and buying shit just because you want it. You buy it because you need it. And then you make sure that other people have some money so that they can do that. I just loaned a whole chunk of money to a friend of mine, who's really bad off right now with his business. So check, I'll give you $5,000. You take that and you make it better. You do a better job and you pay me back when you can, that kind of thing. That's one way to participate in this. But the best way to participate is to get as clean and as pure as you possibly can, so that when you open your mouth, there's truth coming out of it, and that attracts people. And so then you can move with that group, and you're not isolated into some particular belief system, because that's another problem. Somebody gets a little bit of truth, they think they got it all, and now everybody's got to think like they think. And so you get all these different religions and all these different ways in which you got to raise your kids, and it's all a bunch of rules and everything, and most of it doesn't make a lot of sense. It's just another control trip.
Well, let's talk about COVID. That was all about rules that didn't make sense.
Not to me. It's an individual thing.
That's the thing. Didn't make sense to me. I don't know about other people in the group, but your sense of rules made sense to you. It didn't to me. So what do you do in situations like that?
Well, that's an interesting question. Dialogue, we can talk about it, which we have done a little. I don't think either one of us has changed our positions, but I mean, there are going to be things that we can't change in each other that we just have to accept. Yeah. Like, well, I'll accept you doing what you do. If you come down to Berkeley, if you get down to Berkeley, I'm going to be wearing a mask, and you are too, or we're going to take COVID tests. And if we all pass the COVID test, then we can sit down together without masks on. I'll do that.
Yeah.
but
see,
we have to compromise.
That's where you're saying, well, because the elite tell me I have to do this, and I'm saying I don't want to take directions from the elite. Right.
You do it every day, though.
Right.
We're doing it every day. We have to obey certain laws.
But I can pick and choose my battles with them, right? If there's something that's so silly, why would I even bother? Why would I sit in a restaurant with a mask on? Or pardon me, I take it off when I sit at the table, but then I can put it on, go to the washroom, blah, 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 right? Like, that doesn't even make sense.
But how difficult is it just to do that? How difficult is that? That's the
thing. They want it as silly as possible because they know that we are spiritual beings. These things at the top that we call the elite, they know we are spiritual beings, and they like to make fools of us.
No, I think maybe so. A mask was a good idea when the disease was spreading really fast, but now that a lot of people have been vaccinated, because now I look at it this way, okay, if you put vaccine in your body, antibodies and all that, and then it has nothing to fight. So if you come across somebody who's not, and it passes something to you, so you're vaccinated, so your body it's gonna fight it, and hopefully it works, right? So that is the whole idea. Obviously, yeah, if you put a mask on, putting on a mask on is not like 100% guarantee, because like, who knows how the.
Of course not.
Right, but it is also one way to lessen the transmission of, and I believe like it's like at my work, we all have to wear masks, but our residents don't have to wear masks, right? It's so like either we all should wear masks or we shouldn't. So why is all these rules and politics? It's just
that don't make sense. Yeah.
Yes, and some stores say that you can come in with masks. Some says don't, and I don't know. I look at it like Big Brother is controlling a lot of things. And
exactly
it is. Big Brother is, and they always have, and they always will, probably. That's just
if you have that attitude, what's the point of expanding your consciousness if you think, well, okay,
because I'm doing it for myself.
Yeah, take care of yourself. Yeah,
but
I don't care what they do.
Part of society. You're still part of society.
Of course,
taking care of yourself is very important.
Mhm.
Like I say,
Well-
point the
So you
finger
might as
this
well go
way.
sit on a mountain somewhere, because you're still interacting with people in society.
Well,
Yeah, but
so
I think
that's true. But so what's your point? Of course, that's the way it is.
Because I think that as spiritual beings, we should be able to communicate and interact with other people. And it shouldn't just be online. I mean, I appreciate Meetup and Zoom and all that, but my life is more than being online. And I
Well, I hope
want to be able
mine
to
is too.
interact with people. But it isn't, Brent. I mean, this whole thing was about.
Well, yeah, but see, I'm okay with that, Diane, because first of all,
Because you'll be happy in your slavery. Is that what they said? Something.
Oh,
along the
no,
lines.
Diane,
Diane.
I don't look at it that way. I don't
I
look at it
know
that way
that's
at
the
all.
problem.
No, it
Right,
isn't.
Diane.
You want me to see it like you see it.
No,
But
what I'm saying is the best prison for the elites to create is one where we create ourselves and we don't see it as a prison.
Well, I'm not going outside and going to a group of people that don't have masks on, because if I get COVID, the odds of me dying are like around 4%. And that's too high for me to take a chance on doing that. You go ahead and take the chances you want to. But if you get COVID and you're on your deathbed, you're going to wish you had gotten those shots. And I don't have to worry about that ever happening.
Well, okay. One thing that I'm gonna say is, if we're expanding our consciousness, should we not trust source or whatever to protect us from
God, yeah.
diseases?
Trust source. What is that?
God,
What is that?
I think
Well,
that
God.
that's something in us
Yeah.
that knows what's right and what's wrong. That's
I
something
mean,
in us knows what's right and what's
if we're expanding our consciousness and we're in all these spiritual groups, then should we not be able to trust in a higher consciousness out there to protect us?
It doesn't do that, does it? Whatever this higher
Well-
consciousness is you're talking about, it doesn't protect us. We have to protect
But-
ourselves, right?
No.
well, aren't
Well,
you consciousness? You're part of consciousness.
Yes, but
Yeah.
it's not.
and our
This God that you're talking about is might be collective consciousness or something. But if you think it's some kind of an entity that created us, it's not doing a
Yeah.
very good job of protecting us. If you look at this planet, there's 1 billion people going to bed hungry every night. I don't think God's doing a good job with that.
responsible. We collectively are responsible.
Okay, so what are you doing about it?
A lot.
Good.
Going
Okay,
out
good.
in my community, helping others and all this, right?
Okay.
Not just spend my time online.
Yeah, but see, you're judging spending your time online based on the way you look at the world. This is the problem we have. Everybody's judging everybody else. You have no business judging
Okay.
anyone else
So,
for anything.
well, what am I judging? What I'm saying is I think there's more that we could be doing to help this planet, to help each other. And that means interacting with people in our community.
Well, I'm interacting right now.
I said in our local community.
Oh,
'cause
you mean
people
go
can
next door
see
and
what you do, right?
okay, well then do it.
Experience it.
Go at it and have it and do it. I don't have a strong desire to do that at
Yeah.
all. I'm doing it my
I
way, which
think,
is
And I
different.
guess, is that your state of consciousness? That's why I'm asking you. If you have no desire to go out and help people, does that say?
I have
something about
no,
your state
I
of
help everyone I encounter by talking to them about what I see as truth and
Okay.
giving them a possibility of a way to getting in touch with it themselves, like I do. Anytime I can open my mouth and say that. The book I'm going to write is specifically to help out this planet, because I found something that I think is really important. And I think it's more important than me going out and helping somebody do something or other. My target audience is the fucking whole planet. It isn't just my local community. That's what I'm doing. That's different than what you're doing. It's just as good or it's just as bad as what you're doing. It's just different, and you don't understand it. And you can do whatever you want, and I don't care. And you shouldn't care what I do. It's not you. No one should be judging anybody else for what
Did
they're
I
doing.
say, was I judging you?
Yes, you said you've got to
okay,
go
tell
out
me.
into the public and you've got to stop
I
just being
didn't say,
online.
no, I said,
Didn't she, Dave?
that
Didn't she
I-
say that?
did I say, isn't it important to get out?
Okay,
And
just
interact
say
with
what you
others.
guys want to
That's what I
say.
said.
Pardon?
Just say what you want to say, like Diane's saying that this is her belief system, this is what she wants to do.
Right.
Maybe it sounded like she was, you know, judging you, but I think she was just trying to say this is what she believes, and we respect what you believe too, Brent. We should, because,
Well-
and everybody should respect what everybody's belief system is, and not try to trash their belief system unless they're asking those questions and saying, hey, I'm not so sure about my belief system. Let me bounce this off again, right? And get into some kind of a dialogue along those lines. But everybody's got a different belief system.
Well, is that the
Everybody
problem
believes
with the
differently.
planet? Is
And-
that the
and-
problem with the planet?
Yes.
Right?
Yes, it is.
I'm not so
Everybody
sure
has
about
a
that.
different
I
belief
think,
system.
I don't, well, my planet is what I'm seeing.
That's right.
Because I can only speak from of what I'm experiencing on day to day, year to year.
Yeah.
This lifetime is that most people, and more and more now, are really questioning everything and trying to go within, trying to clean their house, right? And move from there. And I think that's very important. That I mean, I don't think you would have got to where you are, Diane, where you're wanting to get out in the community, had not you done a lot of work on yourself.
Well, I've been doing a lot out in the community. You know that, Dave.
Yeah, but
I really wanted a bigger.
I don't think
bigger
you
sense
would
of-
have been gotten to there unless you were doing as much work on yourself, questioning, well,
Right.
who am I?
Right.
What am I? What am I doing here? Why are things the way they are? Right? If you weren't
I agree.
asking those questions, you wouldn't be doing what you're doing. You'd just be, you know, taking me for all my money and
She is. She told me she is.
This is true. So anyways, we're almost done here, but Gayanendra, did you have any comments?
It's been quite an interesting dialogue, and I think that the whole planet consciously have to work towards a better place for everybody. And I understand it's not going to be easy, because as humans, we're going to have disagreements, just like we had it here today. And as long as you respect each other and move on, and that is how I think it's, you know, like I said, I mean, I think there was a lot of subject I brought about, and I think it is not, we are very powerful people, because we are the ones who vote and elect this official. So I always think, if this party is not doing good, I'm not going to vote this party. Doesn't matter. Maybe that is how so everybody has to start thinking, okay, our school system, our medical system, our health system, our work situation, all this kind of thing. And then they go and vote in the election. And even then, you know, that party could become not the party that you thought they were going to become.
Yeah.
So, but as long as we all consciously together, you know, all over the world is doing things towards the betterment of humanity in every way. Yes, there's hunger in world. Also, there's a lot of wealth in world too.
Yes.
You know, but how is Mr. Tesla? What's his name? You know, is he going to give $5 billion to
No,
some poor nation, or
No.
is he going to buy the Twitter account? And that's what his aim is, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So so his conscious mind is only like that. So and who is making him rich? We are making him rich, right? Because
That's
we
right.
are following. Yeah. So until we change, it's not gonna change. We will be always in a struggling place.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm happy to be here with you guys, and we had a few laughs and discussion, and I hope I did not disappoint anybody or said anything
No,
that
not
was
at all.
not nice. Or
We don't
anything.
judge here.
Yeah.
And we do have, sometimes we do have these lively discussions, which I think are important to
Of
have.
course.
Because one thing that, you know, this group wants is to shut down this type of discussion, right? Everybody has to think alike. And you're talking about politicians. I think the problem is that a lot of our politicians are not, you know, working for the betterment of mankind, and they don't have a higher state of consciousness, right? So when we do vote, we go, oh, we're disappointed because they don't have a strong foundation, right? Even as individuals, they don't have a strong foundation. So there you go. You know.
Yeah, I mean, they're just in it for themselves and what they can get out of it, and you don't have a choice anyway, unless Trump runs against Jesus Christ, then you have a choice. But other than that, everybody is corrupt to some extent, and
That is true.
Politics is never going to be the way we want it to be.
That's why it's called politics.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
You know.
So you change
Well,
what
guys,
you can.
I've got to go.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Well, we're privileged.
Nice meeting you all. Thank you,
Yes.
and have a nice
Nice to
day.
meet you.
Yeah.
I just want to
Good day.
mention to everyone that we won't have expanding your consciousness for the next 2 weeks, and we'll just start again in the new year, which I think is the 2nd of January. And then it's either 2nd or 3rd. And yes, because I do want to do some editing in that over the next few weeks. But I thank everyone. I wish you a Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
And a Merry Christmas to you too.
Merry
and your family.
Christmas. Have a
Thank you.
great gun. Have a
And to
great day.
everybody in the group. Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you.
you
Thank
too.
Okay.
Okay, guys.
Bye.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.